everybody.
Hello.
It is the Macaw
Podcast Universe.
My name is Micah.
My name is Jordan.
And we host this podcast. This is the 6th episode of the series that shall not be named. And in this podcast, we analyze film franchises. And we are in the wizarding world. We're in
Of
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
And we are on the Half-Blood Prince. There's 2 more Harry Potters, and then we're going to hit you with a double feature of the Fantastic Beasts. They will be separate episodes. That made it sound like it'll be one episode. But, so you still got, you got 5, we reached the halfway point in the last episode.
Oh, okay.
And then there'll be a new series that we've already got figured out, folks. So today we're doing the Half-Blood Prince, like I already said. And by the time this movie comes out, the whole series has been published. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
This movie is directed by David Yates, who directed the last movie. And it's written by Steve Kloves again, produced by David Heyman and David Barron. And then we got Nicholas Hooper doing the music, who did the music for the last movie. We have cinematography by Bruno Del Bonell. Or is it Baumel? Shoot, my handwriting. It's Nell. Del Bonell.
Okay.
And he did Amelie. Oh, man. Handwriting is so bad. Darkest Hour, Dark Shadows, Inside Llewyn Davis.
Those are all very different looking movies. What
Yeah.
a versatile person.
The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Oh.
Big Eyes. And Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children.
He's a Burt and a Cohen guy.
Yes. And so I did kind of want to speak to the cinematography in this movie because not only does it does look different, which is not necessarily something I really picked up on. I think it's a little more subtle. But the cinematographer, and David Yates were like, hey, we want this movie to be darker. And they were kind of pitching the studio on it, and the studio's like, no, we like how the movies have looked. We don't want that to change. And so they kind of he got with his colorist, and his colorist name is Peter Doyle, and they worked together, kind of made a newer look that made the Hogwarts seem, this is their description, kind of more of a character, like a dark character, empty hallways,
That's true.
Yeah, and just a lot darker, more shadows, and they really focused on the lighting so that the lighting was different and unique, and then the studio kind of saw the coloring that was done after, of course, lighting and all that, and they were like, no, this looks really good.
Oh, that's cool.
And this is the only one in the series that is nominated for Best Cinematography. So,
Do you know if this guy has worked on the rest of them?
I don't think he works on any more. So, too bad. He did a
What
great
a
job.
shame.
Then we have, it's produced by Warner Brothers and Heyday Pictures. It's distributed by Warner Brothers. And this movie comes out July 15th, 2009. And this is crazy. So remember the last few movies, everything's hovered around like 100 to 150 million production budget. Do you want to take a stab at what this one is? It's much higher.
250.
250 million. So they nearly double the budget on this movie.
Please tell me they make it back.
Oh, they make it back so much. So you got domestically, you got $301,959,197, and then worldwide, you have $933,954,197.
Yeah, they made it back.
Yeah, and it's still just sort of mind blowing to me. Like all these movies have consistently been just about $1 billion. Like they're so close to being
Consistently.
Yeah, it's so insane.
Yeah.
I think Azkaban was maybe the lowest, and it was still like in the 800s.
Yeah.
And everything else is like high 800s and then 900s. You can fact check me on that, but you'd have to listen to all our previous episodes. So just try to fact check me, folks. So apparently, see, sometimes when I'm researching, you see things, and you can sympathize with this because it's kind of like the IMDb trivia like question where you're like, did that really happen or is it blown out of proportion? But apparently Emma Watson was like not sure she was going to come back for this movie.
I've never heard that.
And I did find like an actual interview where she's like, apparently she had considered not reprising the role.
Just like a Steve Carell situation, like, hey guys, I did Michael, and now it's time for me to move on.
I guess. The weird thing to me though is not the weird thing. The kind of cool thing is David Heyman said, he was like, we want what's best for the kids. So if she wasn't able to do it, we would have just recast it. It would have been heartbreaking, but
I think whatever friend or family member put that little bug in her ear, I hope she doesn't talk to that person anymore. That's bad advice.
It is very bad advice. And then I also wanted to shout out Stuart Craig.
Wait, let me just say something too. She's been in 5 of them, and maybe she's concerned of like, this is all I'm going to be remembered for.
Yeah.
You've already been in 5 of them. So even if they recasted someone, you're always going to be Hermione way more than whoever they recast.
Oh, yeah.
Even if that person does a better job.
Yeah. They'd have to, yeah. I mean, she didn't do it. So,
yeah.
And again, it's kind of in that element where it's like, was that like, oh, one night I was just like, I don't really want to do it, and I said it in this interview? Or is it a real thing that she was not sure about coming back? Okay, so I did want to shout out Stuart Craig, who is the production designer for all 6 of these movies, and we haven't even like mentioned him. He's
6 or 7.
It's been 6 now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And the production designs on these movies are damn near flawless.
Only one person the whole time, like in charge of that?
Yeah. And I just read that. I didn't actually go through each thing and double check to make sure it was him, but I mean, that seems right to me.
Next time for the next movie, or maybe the last movie, it might, like, maybe you could try to look up some interviews of him, because as you said, that is such a big part of the movie. So
right.
Should do a spotlight on him.
Yeah. That would be cool. Try to remind me of that.
Movies aren't just about the actors and the directors and the producers.
And these movies are a testament to that, because the sets are probably a good like 40% of why these movies are cool.
Mm-hmm. CGI or not.
Yeah, they're just fantastic sets.
Yeah.
And I love how in all of them you just really can imagine yourself there. It's not far-fetched. Because, even though we obviously love these movies, when you're seeing the Avengers fighting Thanos on the planet Titan, you're not like, oh man, I could really see myself there.
Oh yeah.
You're like, oh no, that's really fake.
To like,
it looks cool, but it's fake.
Put it into perspective for people who may not be as interested in how movies work, but maybe you're listening to this podcast, so you're interested in it. Mm-hmm. If you have not watched the Corridor Crew VFX artists react to Lord of the Rings yet,
oh yeah,
you have to. Star Wars too, but I would say more as a Lord of the Rings fan. Like, I had watched all the special features on all of the extended version, special edition stuff, and I thought I had seen everything.
Yeah.
There was so much in those things that I did not know that they did them that way. Like, so many miniature sets that I had no idea.
Yeah. That was such a wild video to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, like the Helm's Deep miniature and the Sauron miniature, which was like this, like set up in a parking, or not the Sauron, the Sauron area was like set up in a parking lot that like probably couldn't fit in this apartment.
Yeah.
Like so cool.
The Isengard was probably the most impressive.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, because they said that because of that one shot where they go down into the cavern.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah.
It's probably what you're saying, but that's, I mean, just look up the scene, people, and just know that they did it. That's real.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It's very, very cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of special effects though, so the couch scene.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of the movie, what's the professor's name? Slughorn gets up out of a couch, and there was some behind the scenes that I thought was really cool where the director, David Yates, was like, we have this great actor. We kind of want him to do his thing. So we had him like act coming out of the couch, like going from couch to human, and then we animated over him.
Oh, really?
And so there's this footage where you can see him. He's on like this board, and then like sitting down, but he's on a board, and then there's like a spring that kind of shoots him up, and then he improvised all the like shaking off of the couch.
That looks real to me.
Yeah, and
I
then
just assumed
they add the CG later.
I assumed that they just did that practically because it seems easier.
It will, but I mean, making the couch like turn into his pajamas that's impossible. So
Yeah, but they cut.
yeah, but I mean, in that sequence, it goes from like it's like
I just assumed that like there were like I don't know what the like suspension things around him.
Yeah.
That as he's moving, they like broke or they like disconnected.
Yeah.
So they would become small.
Oh.
I thought it was something like that. Maybe that's not. Maybe that's way harder. Maybe it's easier to animate.
Yeah. That's because he's just wearing like in the
Just the
actual
pajamas.
shot, he's just wearing the pajamas.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta see that. That sounds cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And then the Quidditch. I saw some behind the scenes on the Quidditch, and they have these really insane swings. So the stuntmen do this because they have to. And so they have these swings. They look kind of like they're from Mad Max or something, where someone's on one side and they launch the other person off, and then there's like green screen everywhere, and then the person like does whatever they need to do in the air. Yeah. And then there was footage of Ron like on a trampoline, like jumping in the air and doing all the blocks and stuff. And then he was commenting on how like after a little while, like a man with a broom right there, it's just not great.
Yeah.
It was very funny.
Yeah.
And then finally, this was the best. So they at the end of the movie, when Dumbledore and Harry are in the cave, so they, as you had pointed out, they built that like ice sculpture.
Well, like the crystals.
Yeah, I guess it's supposed to be ice.
Oh, they just look like crystals.
Yeah,
to
they
me.
said ice
Cool.
in the special feature. So it's like they built that. Everything else is CG. And so they were like, this is a daunting task and stuff. I think considering all that, it looks really great.
Yeah.
But so they're doing that, and then you can see, I think his name's Michael, Dumbledore, the guy who plays Dumbledore. He's like, yeah, they wanted us to be like on harnesses so that we wouldn't be slipping and stuff. And he goes, I'm a theater actor. I wouldn't dream of putting a harness on. And the way he said it was just so, it felt like Dumbledore, where you're like, oh, okay. So they like,
so he didn't do it.
no, him and Harry, they had to like be really careful because they were like slipping all the time. But I think it took a little. It sounded
Longer
like
than
it
it
took
would.
a little longer to shoot. But he's just like, I wouldn't dream of it putting on a harness.
Wow.
And I just thought
Hats
that
off
was
to you,
awesome.
man. That's cool.
And then speaking of that scene, I have this long quote about it. About Dumbledore's Ring of Fire.
Okay.
Noted that the effect would look as if someone sprayed propane and then lit it. This is the VFX guy. I forgot to credit him. Oh, I think it's Chris Harveth. He said, we did a lot of research on molten volcanoes, which have a lot of heat going on, but no actual flames, and collected a bunch of other references, including flares that burn underwater, and showed them to the Potter folks. The visual effects team emulated those 6 fire parameters: heat ripples, smoke, buoyancy, viscosity, opacity, and brightness. Since the whole fire scene was very time-consuming, computer graphics artist Chris Harveth spent 8 months finding a faster way to conjure flames. So that's why it looks so good. Spent 8 months on it.
That's one of the best CG flame things I've ever seen.
Yeah, and in the behind the scenes where you see Harry and Dumbledore, they do have some flames on set, but it's nothing like what you see in the movie.
It's just as an aid.
Yeah.
I'd say even the flames at the beginning of the movie when the Death Eaters put a ring of fire around the Weasley's house.
Oh yeah, that looks really
pretty good.
I'm sure a lot of that is practical. But then of course,
More
like,
than you think.
Like the aerial shot, probably not. But like the stuff where the actors are
What about
actually
the
there.
fire snakes?
The fire snakes.
There were fire snakes in that ring.
Yeah. I mean, you can't practically do that.
Just kidding.
And then we have so that was from Wikipedia, that quote.
Okay.
I just want to credit where credit's due.
Wikipedia, where they get credit from everyone else.
Yeah. I for the most part, I try and double check everything.
Yeah.
But that quote, I was like, this is way too specific for someone to have made this up. So we have our annual Ebert quote. And do you want to guess how many stars out of 4 he gave it, or do you want me to just
2.5.
3.
Wow.
So he gave it, I think that's more than the last movie.
So he has accepted the seriousness to some degree.
Well, he said this about it. He said, I admired this Harry Potter. It opens and closes well and has wondrous art design and cinematography as always. Only more so. I'm just beginning to realize how beautiful this place is, Harry sighs from a high turret. The middle passages spin their wheels somewhat, hurrying about to establish events and places not absolutely essential, but those scenes may be essentially valued. But those scenes may be especially valued by devoted students of the Potter saga. They may also be the only ones who fully understand them. Ordinary viewers may be excused for feeling baffled some of the time.
Does that feel accurate to you?
I didn't find too much where I was like, oh, I don't understand what's happening in this movie. I actually felt like this one
pretty straight line.
It was easier to understand than the last movie.
Yeah.
But I do get what he's saying where it's like a lot of the movie does feel like it's setting stuff up and it's not actually like doing anything with those setups.
Yeah.
Because they're setting it up.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's necessary. I think they do a pretty solid job of all of that. It doesn't feel like, as we've discussed in previous episodes, like some of the Marvel setup stuff has been a little lunky where you're like, wait, we have to wait like 5 years for a payoff on this thing. But it does make it fun to rewatch.
It's hard too because Dumbledore dies in this one, and you can't just can't like. Let's say that this book didn't exist, and let's say he dies in Deathly Hallows. Mm-hmm. That is way too many big moments.
Sure,
Yeah. So it's like I think that you do need to dedicate a book / movie to like the events surrounding that. Mm-hmm. And I think we've kind of discussed a little bit this one. Like, it's hard too because it is definitely a setup for what's to come. But if let's say you take this story away, you'd be so confused. Like, this is a necessary thing. Currently, because I've said like that each movie's better than last. Like, that's my opinion on the whole thing. Right now, this is my favorite one.
Wow.
And then tomorrow, like next month, it might be a different one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But currently, right now, this one, like I watched this one not that long ago from when we watched it.
Yeah.
And it still is just like, I think.
Oh, I remember you texting me about it.
Yeah.
And you were just like going off about how
it's just,
good it
I
is.
think it looks the best. I mean, I think the other two, the next two look just as good as this one. But looks the best. I love anything that has to do with Snape. So.
Yeah.
This like you're really starting to even more understand Snape. Mm-hmm. And then like it's just crazy character development. Even the high school drama. Like
I think the high school drama is good in this
very
movie.
Well handled.
It's not like Goblet of Fire where you're rolling your eyes.
And I think that if they didn't get a good Tom Riddle for this one, I probably would not like it as much.
And do you want to know something about the boy who is cast as Tom Riddle?
Yeah.
So I'm glad you mentioned it because I forgot.
Well, let me just say, so unbelievably great.
Yeah.
And he's barely in the movie.
Yeah, he does a great job.
I don't know, he captures it.
So the guy who played Tom Riddle in Chamber of Secrets said, I will totally come back and do it. And they were like, but you're too now old. He's 30, like by the time they were filming this movie.
It was John Mulaney.
Yeah. So in this movie, they were like, okay, we got to cast someone. And they
did cast two people.
Oh, right.
But
so I don't know which
you're talking
one
about
is
the older
which.
one.
I think so.
Well, yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's the older one, but might have to check. One of the two, mm-hmm. Tom Riddle's, is the nephew of Ray Fiennes. Isn't that crazy?
Can you look it up? Because
I'll look it up when you start your thing.
Oh wait. We just find him.
Well, he probably doesn't have the same last name.
No, I know, but.
But they did claim, though, they were like, we didn't hire him because of that. We hired
Nepotism.
him because he was a good actor. So that's the deal there, and I thought that was pretty interesting.
I found the young kid.
Yeah.
Last name's Tiffin.
Tiffin? Well, okay, you start doing the cast, and I'll look this up while you do that.
Okay. Now I have to go back to it. Who is that? Okay. So I'm going to start off with Jim Broadbent, who plays Professor Horace Weasley, Slughorn. He is in Gangs of New York. Wow. The Iron Lady. He's in Dolittle, but so is the rest of Hollywood. King of Thieves. Paddington 2. He is antique store owner in Paddington, people. Go watch Paddington. He's also in Game of Thrones. He's in Mary and the Witch's Flower. Cool.
So which one's the 11-year-old Tom Riddle?
The young one.
So that's Ray Fiennes' nephew.
Oh. Not as exciting for me. Although that kid is also seriously amazing. And we'll get into it. But, cool. Okay, so that is Jim Broadbent with none of Micah's commentary over it because he was on his phone looking for podcast-related things.
Thank you. Yeesh.
And then I'm not sure if I've gone over her before, but Bonnie Wright plays Ginny Weasley. She's more in this movie, so I'm just going to give her her due, I guess.
Sure.
She's in British stuff, as well as Harry Potter. And does not look like it expounds from there. We did Helena last time.
We did do the HBC.
I'll just briefly touch on this person. Helen McCrory, who plays Malfoy's mother, Narcissa Malfoy. She's in The Queen, the Count of Monte Cristo, apparently.
Whoa, the Jim Caviezel one?
Yep.
Whoa.
Peaky Blinders. She's in the Loving Vincent movie that we need to watch still.
Oh, yeah.
She's in a lot of stuff. I've never really seen her outside of this. Cool. Then we have Freddie Struma, who plays Cormac McLagan, who's the one that's trying to get Hermione the whole time. Just, he's in it enough, I'm going to mention. He's in Pitch Perfect.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to stop there. Okay, and then we have Jessie Cave, who plays Lavender Brown, who's obsessed with Ron. She's in Pride. She's also in Trolleyed. She's in Black Mirror and British stuff.
Oh, man.
Frank Delane. What a terrible IMDb profile picture.
Oh, no.
What happened,
Oh,
buddy?
no. Oh, no. That's...
Oh, I don't... No,
Are we
I think
sure
he's going.
that's
I think
him?
he's going for a Johnny Depp look.
Yeah.
Also, he is obviously wearing a ton of makeup
Yeah.
in Harry Potter. Plus, it's edited for the flashback feel.
Yeah.
But he's very pale.
By the way, speaking of the cinematography, the flashbacks, the way they differentiate how they look is really well done. The lighting and then kind of I think
Hazy outline.
Yeah, the hazy outline. Because sometimes flashbacks in movies, you're like, okay.
You know what? I wonder.
But these look so good.
I wonder
like
if
them.
they were focusing on, because it's pretty hazy on the outline, like a lot.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they're like trying to think of, like, when you think of memories, you only see it's tunnel vision.
Yeah.
And that's how it looks as tunnel vision.
Totally.
Because it's also, especially, they're looking at Slughorn's memory. So it's just like what he saw and his perspective, and then he edited his perspective. Pretty interesting.
Well, and I think they were also modeling the fact that Harry's looking in water, because it kind of has that look, like a smoky water look.
So this guy is the star. Well, unless he died. I don't really watch this show. Not really. I don't. But he's in Fear the Walking Dead. He's up there with top casted. Wow, that's just crazy. So I did not watch Walking Dead. I've only seen the first 2 seasons. But my family was really into Walking Dead. So when they announced a spinoff show, my family's like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. We're going to watch it debut night. I was there.
Yeah.
And I watched it with them because I was like, maybe I'll get in on this one. This will be the zombie thing I get into. Fun fact, people, Jordan really likes zombie stuff. Really doesn't like Walking Dead and a lot of zombie stuff. If anyone wants to know my zombie opinions on movies, ask me sometime because I'm not going to get into it today. But...
Are there any series of movies that? Oh, I guess the original Zombie, like George Romero's Night of the Living Dead.
That one's good. The book, what's that book? Warm Bodies.
Warm Bodies.
Love Warm Bodies.
No, but I was thinking,
I remember liking the movie too.
Is there anything that we would cover? And Night of the Living
Zombieland,
Dead.
if they make a third one.
Yeah, Night of the Living Dead's a possibility that we could cover that.
Did you see Thomas Middleditch's post today?
Yeah, his picture of him in the makeup.
Spoiler
and
alert
stuff.
for us.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay. He turns
Whatever.
into a zombie.
But yeah, I'm trying to think of. I'll think about it later. It's not about zombies right now. He's also in the Heart of the Sea.
Who are you
Sense
talking
8,
about right now?
Frank Delane, Tom Riddle, Teenage Boy.
Oh, okay.
He's also in British stuff. And then I think, wait a second. Who is that? What? So the guy who's in The Witch, the dad, who's also in Game of Thrones, and you can't understand a word he says. Apparently he's in Harry Potter.
That makes sense.
Amy Sis.
Is he one of the Death Eaters?
I mean, he's got to be, right?
Yeah. I mean, with a voice that low, you gotta be.
That's crazy. I'm going to be looking for him in the next movie.
I'm going to be looking for him.
I'm going to be looking for him. And then I'm just going to call it at that. Oh, that's a terrible picture. Anyway, let's get into the movie.
Okay. The movie begins. As I think I said on all 42 episodes of this show, I think I go, the movie begins.
Fade in.
quiet. There's a Warner Brothers logo. There's a hush against across the crowd. People are
Okay, Micah. Okay.
I don't remember the beginning
We're in a
scene.
subway.
Subway, that's right. Well, there's and then there's that scene where Harry's in the diner, right?
In the subway station.
Yes, and this girl they kind of have
She hits on him. Come
Yeah.
on.
Actually a good scene.
Yeah.
Like the acting's pretty. That kind of stuff is hard to pull off for the most part, and it works, I think. And she's seen him read a newspaper and stuff, and you see like, ooh, maybe.
And she makes a comment of like, I swear I saw the pictures moving for a second.
Yeah. And you
she's a
can
muddle.
tell right away that with this, so at the beginning of the movie, we see like, here's a girl, here's a prospect for Harry of a future, right? And then right away, Dumbledore comes in and he grabs his wrist and they get whisked away. And you kind of
They
see
just
like
separate.
part of his growth in this movie, along with the last movie, but I think in this movie he's not like a refusal of the call kind of trope, but you can see that he is not like, he's accepting that he's the chosen one, and he's okay with that, but he doesn't want that. He doesn't want to be the chosen.
He wants a normal life.
He wants normalcy. So I like that about this movie a lot. That part is good. And then Dumbledore whisks him away
to a neighborhood.
Yeah.
And they walk up to this house that has clearly been broken in and disheveled.
And I thought this was cool because every movie there's a new teacher. And it was fun to see him recruiting a new teacher this time.
It's so fascinating that they go into this house that's all disheveled and broken into. And they find out that Slughorn made it like this. So they find Slughorn in a chair, like we talked about, really cool effect.
Yeah.
Immediately, this actor is like, I know who Slughorn is, that's me. He is just doing so well with the acting. First time we see him.
Yeah.
And it's cool because he was like, the Death Eaters have been at me like for a while now. So he's like, I don't stay anywhere longer than a week.
Yeah.
And so they put the house back together because he ruined the house to no one would come looking for him.
And
there.
this was so we're 6 movies in, and this has another moment where you're like, whoa, that's cool.
Yeah.
Because the whole room reverses like all the destruction that happened. And when it's happening, there's a few things that are practical.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the chandelier was. It did not look fake, which is cool. Mm-hmm. Go
very,
ahead.
very cool.
And I love that touch where there's a piece under
Yeah.
Harry's foot and it's wiggling, and then it gets out from under his foot, and then it's done.
Yeah.
Nice touch. They're not losing like the charm of the series.
No.
That like proves it, you know?
Yeah. And I think that, so going back to the actor who plays Slughorn, I feel like he is kind of acting purposely like a little bit of not confused, but like an old guy that's not really like that's very all over the place. That's how he's playing, but it almost seems deliberately like he's trying to avoid things. So he's like, Dumbledore, don't even ask. I'm not coming back to Hogwarts. And Dumbledore doesn't even say anything. He asks to use the bathroom, the loo.
Yeah.
And
Best Dumbledore performance.
this movie.
Yeah, this one's the best Dumbledore.
Yeah. And Harry just learns that Slughorn taught his mother, and she was one of his favorite students. And he showed him some pictures. And then Dumbledore comes back and is like, can I take this magazine? Because they're in a muggle's house. So it's like a magazine
Very
on
charming
quilting.
thing.
And Slughorn is kind of like, oh, you're not going to ask me to come back to Hogwarts? And he's like, no, I see a lost cause. I know a lost cause when I see it. And they're leaving, and Slughorn's like, you better give me this person's office. Don't give me that water closet from last time. Yada, yada, yada. So they get him.
Yeah.
And then Dumbledore says, Harry, you're not going on that date with that girl. You were going back to school, buddy. Or we're going back. So Harry.
Then we go to Diagon Alley. Is that?
Oh,
where
that
we're
was
going?
the beginning of the movie where there was Death Eaters flying around, and they destroyed Ollivanders and kidnapped him.
Very. I was wondering. So I guess Iron Man came out the year before, so I wouldn't say that we're at like the peak superhero by any means.
It's crazy that we're so far into Harry Potter and Marvel is just starting now.
Yeah, this is only a year after the first Marvel movie. I mean, of course, we have like Spider-Man before this and stuff, but kind of the Death Eaters going through the city and destroying it, I was like, oh, this is like I thought to myself, like, oh, this is post Avengers, like, because this is them, like, oh, we gotta like do that thing, even if it's subconscious. But it's not. So that was kind of interesting. I think the rest of the movie didn't fall into the formula of the superhero, so you can tell that it isn't that influenced by it. I'm really curious if Fantastic Beasts is going to be a little more superhero-y.
Trope stuff.
Like big battle at the end where like a city's being destroyed and they have to stop it, and
Oh, interesting.
I'm kind of wondering about that.
Never thought about it like that.
Yeah, because blockbusters they find certain things, and even when they're different, a lot of times if they're in the same period, you're like, you can look at like the 2000 teens, the 10s, and a lot of them, even movies that aren't superhero and shouldn't have done that, do like a superhero-esque plot, a superhero-esque action sequence, and everything is like just copying superheroes. And you look through that, and that's why like if something, like from what I could tell from the Men in Black International trailer, it looked like they were like, okay, now we're doing superheroes, but it's Men in Black.
Yeah.
But that's not what Men in Black is. Yeah. So no one went and saw it because they were like, I can watch. Subconsciously, they're all like, I can just watch Avengers Endgame again. I don't have to watch another movie that's a pale imitation of it.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
When's your essay being published?
I think, this is coming out February. No, okay.
I
do need
way
to
to
pull up
remember
my
that,
calendar.
though, because that is the beginning of the movie. You're seeing Death Eaters harming the world. Or, I guess, maybe not the world. The world's not the right word. But, like, London, like, muggles. They're like, causing change. Which is just all foreshadowing. Okay. Harry is then taken to the Weasleys. Another very charming scene.
Yeah.
That really cool shot of them all, because the Weasley house is very tall, so you got some really cool shots. I feel like they play around with their house layout a lot.
There's that insane shot.
Yeah.
And I guess seeing now that it was nominated for Best Cinematography, you're like, yeah, where Ginny is downstairs, and then like her mom, it's like an angled shot on a staircase, and her mom pops her head up and she's like, where's Harry? And then Ron,
and right there you were like, oh no, when Ron popped out, you were like,
Ron pops up, and it's the same shot, and he's in a different location, like a story higher,
and you were like, this is a cool shot.
And then they top it all off with Hermione, who's like 3 stories high, and it's all this one shot, and they're all just in these nicely composed, like it's a gorgeous
framed,
shot.
very
it's so
well
cool.
framed.
Yeah.
But now we're at Ginny.
Yeah. Okay. So I think maybe the best way to discuss this movie is to kind of pick characters, kind of run through their thing, and then hit the plot kind of as we go, but maybe skip around. That's what I'm thinking, because this is a pretty
character-based movie.
Yes.
Or development.
So Ron is not the person I meant to say. Ginny.
We're at Ginny.
Yes.
This is the same actress from movie 1. Now,
she's in the first movie?
Yes.
Okay.
She is
like
not
one
old
scene,
enough to go to Hogwarts yet.
Yeah.
But yes, it is the same actress. Now, if we look at it this way, not all of these kids can be knockouts.
No.
You're going to get a few bad eggs. Unfortunately, people, Ginny's the bad egg. And it sucks because she ends up with Harry. And you're like, oh, boring. So in the books, she's like so cool and badass. From what I remember,
really? Oh,
very, very like hot-headed and like outspoken and like
hot-headed.
Totally, she sings that all the time in the books. You can like hear it.
Not a song, by the way. It was kind of hot-blooded by Foreigner. It was sort of hot-blooded by Foreigner,
I get it.
I didn't go full Foreigner. By the way, Foreigner has a song called Hot-Blooded and Cold as Ice. Kind of interesting.
Both of them.
Wish that they would have done a temperature concept album. Go ahead.
Remember to tell you something cool I read about Little Women later.
The movie?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Ginny, Bonnie Wright, is a bum. She is flat. And by flat, I don't mean physically. I mean just like she is so boring. She's just not a good actress. I'm sorry. She just does not convey a good performance. Where she is just like she's one note.
Very much so.
The whole time. And it's just a bad egg. And it sucks because I feel like sometimes she comes off as weirdly sexual, and I don't think that's intentional.
Really?
Yeah. The scene when they're in the room of requirement and they're hiding the book and she kisses him and she's like, I could hide up here if you want to. And it's like, gross. No. Weird insinuation, and I know they don't mean it, but delivery
I'll
and
cut
stuff.
that out too.
Oh gosh, but like it's just weird. It feels weird to me, and maybe it's because I've seen this person as a child. I don't know, but like in the first movie,
I'm not agreeing with you on this part of it.
You
the
don't
rest
have
I
to.
am. Yeah,
but
I
yeah,
hope I don't have to.
she's just boring to me. She doesn't provide anything, and that's really all I have to say about it.
So now it's my turn on her. I don't feel like she's quite as bad as like she's not the worst thing in the world, but everyone else is so good. She looks worse,
Yeah.
I was thinking when this movie started, that it's like it just feels a little out of left field that they start liking each other because she's been not really part of the stories.
Maybe
she was a little
maybe
bit.
that's also part of it where it's like, hey, who said you could be here? You're just a little sister.
Yeah, but I will say I think the movie does do a pretty good job of finally by the end of the movie you're like, okay, I see where this is headed. Because me as a non-book reader, I'm just kind of like, oh, I thought he would have wound up with Hermione, like because she's the main girl and he's the main guy.
Yeah,
and this is a quote children's story.
I never felt that about Hermione and Harry ever.
Yeah.
Even I had seen the movies before the books and never felt that way. I kind of feel like Ginny's
Well, it's not set up at all.
I know.
Yeah.
But I just feel like I just know that a lot of people are like think that it's supposed to be Harry and Hermione. But
I'm sorry. You know what? I think I just thought that when I hadn't seen the movies. No. This time when I've been watching it, I'm like Luna Lovegood. That's the girl. That's what I thought to myself.
Her and Neville, man.
But what I'm saying is,
me.
as someone who is not familiar with the source material, I watched the movies and I'm like, oh yeah, it's Luna Lovegood for sure.
Hey, she would be a better option. I also feel like Ginny's a little convenient. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so they throughout the movie are kind of attracted. There's some will they, won't they. I don't think they play it too hard, so it's not like
no, they don't.
It's not too bad. During the scene where they're up looking at the mirror, I played High and Dry by Radiohead because that scene felt very 90s alternative rock to me.
And I played a Natasha Bedingfield song.
Yeah, and we kind of had
Pocket Full of Sunshine.
We had a little
right?
laugh. We had a laugh. Had a laugh. That's not very British.
Nice.
And then, so that's them two. That's their romance.
Well, obviously, this does not ruin the movie for me. If I said that this is currently my favorite one, doesn't ruin the movie. It's just kind of like, whatever. I'm glad these scenes aren't that long.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, I guess doing the character thing isn't going to make any sense. So let's go back. We're at the Weasley's house. They're attacked by Death Eaters.
They ruined the
cinematography's pretty cool. Because it's shaky cam.
Yeah.
Like, I really like the use of shaky cam in this series. Because it hasn't really happened until The Order of the Phoenix. And in that, both that movie and this movie, it's used so selectively that it really makes you go like, oh no, what's going on? Mm-hmm. And in this scene when they're running through the cornfield, it's like, oh, this is good. Mm-hmm. Uh-oh, I'm kind of freaked out.
Yeah, it looks good. And just to jump past, they destroyed the Weasley's house. Mm-hmm. And then I think we go to Diagon Alley.
Yeah. And this is when we see Draco.
Mm-hmm. Draco with his mom. Oh, I guess maybe before this happens, though, we see Bellatrix and Narcissus. I don't know how you say her name without saying a narcissist. Mm-hmm. But obviously that's the point of her name.
Oh, yeah.
Malfoy's mom. So they go to Snape's house and pretty much are like, without saying anything, just like, something weird and bad is going on, and it involves Draco. And they've come to Snape as like, can anything be done? Mm-hmm. And Snape's like, no, the Dark Lord has asked him to do it, or has ordered him to do it. He will do it, or he will die.
And I think because they're so blasé about like Snape just showing up and he's like talking to the Death Eaters and he's being a bad guy, there's just this kind of moment where you're like, what?
Yeah.
Wait, because you've been setting him up to be a bad guy this whole time, and you're like, but it's been 5 movies, he's not a bad guy.
Not only that,
and then
he
this
does
movie, like the whole movie, you're like, oh, I guess he is a bad guy.
And not only that, he does the unforgivable promise thing.
The
unforgivable,
unbreakable,
unbreakable promise thing. Sorry, where if Draco can't carry out this thing, Snape will do it, and if Snape does not do it, he will die.
Yeah.
So it is further of like, huh?
And
you still don't know what it is. So
yeah, so that's kind of nuts. And then we're very suspicious of Draco.
Mm-hmm.
And the Weasley brothers have a really cool shop, and they don't go to Hogwarts anymore. The shop's cool.
Why do they need it when their business is booming? Really, that's especially why I describe it. Watch it. Super creative, fun effects. And then, but you also see that they're like the only business thriving because the rest of Diagon Alley is like bare and desolate ever since Ollivander had been kidnapped. And then, as you said,
Ollivander, I hardly know her.
Harry, Ron, and Hermione see Draco and they're like, oh, he looks a little suspicious. And they're going down Nocturne Alley into the shop and they're like, what's going on? So they climb up on the roof and look into the window and they just see him in there. And we are introduced to Greyback.
Who is he's a cage fighter. Or at least he was before the movie. And he was a cage fighter.
Looks like a cage fighter.
Yeah. And okay, so now can we be on Hogwarts train?
Greyback.
And discuss that?
Fenrir.
The train?
Yes.
Because we're on the train and Ron is getting some looks from people. He's starting to grow up and girls are starting to like him because isn't there the little...
Lavender.
Yeah, Lavender. Doesn't she show up on the train and she kind of...
No, she's in the shop. She's in George and Fred's shop and she's like, hi, Ron.
Yeah, but she does a heart on it.
That's
on there.
Way later in the movie, Micah.
Oh, it is?
When they're dating.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, on the train,
there's
Harry spies on Draco, and Draco like attacks him after the train empties. And I thought that was like a dream sequence or something.
Oh,
because
really?
When he kicks him,
doesn't it look bad?
It's very
and the sound effect is nuts.
Yeah, I thought that Harry did some sort of spell that like he escaped and then like a clone of him was created because he looks dead.
Well, because
I think it was like a little too much.
He petrified him. He petrified him. That's why he looks like that.
Oh,
so
okay.
Then that probably him petrifying that might have saved Harry's life from falling and being kicked in the face. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because the fall looks like he could snap his neck on anything in that fall.
Well, and then when he kicks him, I mean, it's a little bit violent.
I know.
I mean, that coupled with like the unbreakable promise, you're like, oh my gosh, this is like
in a way. I mean, like they consciously made those choices, so you're like, man, this is like really serious. This movie, like anything that's going on. Also, Tom Felton, Draco, incredible performance in this movie. He looks
he finally
so tortured, but quietly tortured.
The thing I will say though, the bummer for me about Draco, I feel like he does a good job on all the movies. This one especially, but for the most part, his dialogue just isn't there.
Okay.
Because it's like every time...
Do you think it's what was written or how it's delivered?
It's no, I think he does a good job delivering it in all the movies. But in the first two, it's more fun, I think. But from 3 to 6, it's always like he sits down and he's like, oh, Hogwarts, what a place for stupid idiots. Man, Dumbledore sucks. And you're like, okay, does he not have any normal, like it makes him kind of one-dimensional.
Yeah.
And the reason he's only two-dimensional in this movie is because he's good at acting. Like, if he wasn't good at acting, you'd be like, man, I hate this character.
And I think this is also a reflection of good writing, good acting, and good directing. But, like, I think it's cool that, like, so, Draco's chosen by Voldemort to kill Dumbledore. And it's kind of like, oh, gee, I didn't see that one coming. It's so obvious that it's almost like, could maybe he have picked someone else? Mm-hmm. But then... and I think it's because it was written so well, where it's like, of course it's Draco.
Yeah.
He's been the bad kid all along. And what's wonderful about it is he looks so tortured about it because he knows it's wrong, and he can't even do it. Yeah. Like I think that's the twist out of everything. Yeah. It's like, yes, of course it's Draco. No one was ever going to question that, but he couldn't do it.
Well, and I think some of the character choices that J.K. made for this series are very simple, and it's actually because the series plot is so convoluted.
It
nice. Actually is kind of like, oh, I'm glad Draco is just Draco.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to like overthink. I don't have to wait for like, I can maybe expect, and don't tell me because I don't remember, like, I can maybe expect some sort of redemption.
Yeah.
But he's like Darth Vader right now. I don't have to worry about him like having, it makes it a little easier because it's also so many characters.
And too, like, this is the 6th movie, so we've had a lot of movies and books already, and it's like Draco's always been the bully, and it's kind of like you probably could have written him out at some point, but at the same time, we needed to remember who he was because of this movie.
Yeah,
and I think, who knows, but I'm wondering if for a couple books she didn't know this was going to happen. She was just like, that's Draco and he will always be that for that. And then she's getting close to this book and she's like, oh my gosh, I can use him. And it's not weird or out of left field.
Which, by the way, I think a couple episodes we talked about her and we theorized maybe she didn't have the series as fleshed out as is kind of like the mythology. Saw an interview with her and Daniel Radcliffe just talking together. And after the Deathly Hallows was done, and she kind of, because he asked her like, how much did you have figured out, and she said that she had like the story fleshed out, but a lot of the specifics as she was writing changed.
Cool.
So like, for example, in the last movie, she just had like certain people where she's like, oh, this person's gonna die, this person's gonna die. Then when she got there, she's like, no, that doesn't make sense, it needs to be this person.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So
she had the skeletons.
It sounds like she had the idea and probably like the Horcruxes and all that stuff like figured out. But anyway, just to kind of close that box because we opened it a couple episodes ago. That's good podcasting, people. You got to stick with us, okay?
People are probably so bored.
Right now, I think it's a good time to plug our podcast. And you should, please, just show some friends. Let's keep growing. Write a review. I know that there are more than 11 people that listen to this, but we only have 11 reviews. So that's a little confusing to me. We have much more than 11. So why don't we get a couple more fingers tapping those keys, baby?
Tell me which one's your favorite Harry Potter movie, your favorite Marvel movie, your favorite Mad Max movie, your favorite Shrek movie, your favorite Toy Story movie.
Yes, and your favorite... Oh, you thought I was going to slip up, listener. Nuh-uh. You don't know what our next series is, except for a couple of you that have found out.
Gonna rock your socks off.
Yeah, we have a whole... Like we have
this is basically
series.
We're in our next Marvel phase, pretty much.
Yeah, here's the thing, folks. We have like a 4-season arc of this show going on that is like one larger story that is told through 4 different franchises that we're covering back to back to back to back. And I am so excited about it. Unless we get 10 patrons and they choose something else, then we will sidebar.
That's the only way it could happen.
Yeah, and that's a good time to say www.patreon.com/Micah. Get your podcasts early. A couple weeks ago, we did an Oscar special that only patron listeners got.
But only podcast listeners.
No, only patron listeners got. It was an exclusive episode where we discuss all of our opinions about the Oscars, who we want to win, who we think's going to win, stuff like that. So, funny enough, we haven't recorded it yet.
As of this recording. But by the time you're hearing it, it's recorded and it's out. And it's getting critical acclaim. You got to listen to this thing. The critics are being criticized.
All you got to do, it's $5, okay? Even if you just want the one episode.
Can we talk about the movie?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Fine.
Where are we? Okay, so we're at Hogwarts. A lot of the like, welcome back, guys. We're at Hogwarts. We're gonna set up stuff.
Yeah.
Harry and
great description, Jordan.
McGonagall tells Harry and Ron to go to potions class.
Yeah.
So they go, and that's what Slughorn is teaching. That's right. So the new professor is not the dark arts teacher. That is finally Professor Snape. You did it, buddy. You did it.
And oh my gosh, Alan Rickman in this movie is so incredible.
We'll have a moment.
He is so good. It's like he has a sucker in his mouth, and every sucker is a word, and he finishes the sucker, then he says the next word.
But on his terms, then
because he speaks.
There's no indulgence here.
this. But it's not boring. You're just like, man, he just is doing it. I love it.
Okay, but
Potions class and the book. Let's talk about the book.
Harry gets his grimy little fingers on the potions book with the name inside saying this is the property of the Half-Blood Prince, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is the title of the movie. What's going to happen?
Yeah, and I forgot who the Half-Blood Prince was, and so I was like, okay, so it's Tom Riddle or something like that.
Oh, duh, but not.
Because I thought like, oh, okay, he has half his blood now or something.
So the important part of the book is it has all of these special little recipes to like corners to cut to be a good potion master. Mm-hmm. So Harry's like the best in the class. Therefore,
and Hermione's kind of pissed.
Pissed. But therefore, Slughorn really likes Harry because he's like top of the class. Not only that, he's Harry Potter.
And he wins a lucky charm.
He wins the lucky charm.
Yeah.
That's got a little leprechaun in it.
Yeah.
Okay. That happens. And then I'm just going to blast to Quidditch tryouts, even though we might be skipping over some stuff. Ron is trying out for the keeper.
Yes.
And he is going up against Cormac blah, blah, blah.
McCarthy, the author of
just
The
imagine
Road.
that guy being in a movie like this.
As a kid.
I can just see that because the guy is so Western, I could see him not liking British people for some dumb reason.
He probably doesn't think that. But.
One of my favorite authors people. Okay, we're going to go back to what I think about zombies. So. Okay. Anyway, so Hermione, so Cormac is doing really well. Ron's doing pretty good.
Wait, McCarthy?
And Hermione does a little charm under her breath that makes Cormac do something
Ooh, seems like she likes Ron.
Maybe. And then Ron becomes Keeper. I mean, Harry's his best friend. Did we think he wasn't going to become Keeper?
Oops.
Okay, what happens after that?
So, we have that. So Ron during this movie, you don't
like his performance?
No, I love his performance. I think he's fantastic in this movie. I just think like Ron has kind of just a little bit. I feel like he's been just a little bit underserved from like 3 on.
Sure.
Nah, maybe not 3, like 4 and 5. It's just like I want a little more Ron, like his character development. And this movie's kind of fun because you're like, oh, I'm finally getting some Ron time. Mm-hmm. I'm getting my Ron on. Yep. And he just is like. It's the classic. I love this, like the fact that he. I guess I didn't realize how much I liked it until this moment. But
it's your favorite.
No, he's not my favorite. My favorite's Harry Potter. I mean,
oh gosh,
yeah,
you're one of those people.
With a close second.
My favorite character's Luke. My favorite character's Frodo.
Yeah, those are them. I mean, if I had to choose a different character, Umbridge. I love Umbridge.
I don't know who my favorite Star Wars character is.
Yeah, can you try and think of it?
When I was a kid, it was Jar Jar.
Yeah,
Binks.
Yeah.
But I think that was every kid's favorite.
Yeah, I mean, he was written for us at that age.
I'm gonna have to think on that.
I mean, as far as prequels, it's got to be Qui-Gon / Obi-Wan Kenobi. Regular movies.
Wait, who's that?
Qui-Gon Jinn is
Liam
Neeson. Yeah, he's just so great in that movie.
Pretty cool.
But I mean, Obi-Wan is the best.
Which is Ewan.
Yeah. And then in the
got a weird teeth thing.
Stop talking about teeth this episode.
He's got a weird teeth thing going on.
Then in the original series, it's Luke for me. Can't get enough of Han though.
Why are we
R2D2 is like the unsung hero. Well, he's not unsung. Everybody loves R2D2, but he's kind of the best out of like all the characters at the same time. And then in the new series, it's got to be Rey. I love Rey.
Oh,
but I love Kylo too. They're both the best in those.
Kylo really did it for me in the last one.
I just think
I do really like Rey though.
I just think Adam Driver's performance in all 3 movies is so above like most performances in all of the movies. Like he is like as good as like the best Star Wars performances, and he alone just elevates those movies.
I do really like the cleaning ladies.
Yeah, the little nun fish ladies.
Yeah, they're
like
cool.
Fish frogs. Those things are cool. And they get.
I feel like Star Wars
Rey.
is hard for me because I just like it. There's just so many creatures. Why would you pick a human?
I know.
But of course, I don't know. I love in Rogue One, remember that white thing that was just walking around? And we're like,
yeah.
You're just going to create this thing and then just not focus on it for the rest of the movie?
Yeah.
Sure. whatever, do what you want, Garth, whoever
Gareth
he is.
Edwards.
Gareth Edwards.
But see,
Gosh.
that's the beauty
I know.
of Star Wars,
I
is
know.
that it's so full.
That's my favorite part about it.
But I guess, Yoda.
Wait,
hang on. Episode 5 Yoda, when he comes in, one of the best like intros of a character. And then in the new series, the one that I really, really like is Jon Favreau's character in Solo.
Yeah, he's cool.
Because I love his voice acting in it, because he's going really hammy.
Yes.
But in such a fun way that you're just like, man, that is good.
Yeah.
I love him a lot.
By the way, I saw the other day on Instagram this artist post a painting that she did of Yoda.
Uh-huh.
Looks wonderful. So amazing.
Is it the Mandalorian Yoda or
No, Yoda.
Yoda?
Because she said like basically like Yoda's way better, something like that, but in a much, I'm paraphrasing like crazy. And then she posted it to her story and was like the picture of Yoda again, and it's like, are we done fetishizing the youth or something like that? And I'm like, oh, you have a weirdly deep opinion about Baby Yoda. It's a baby.
Sorry that it's the cutest thing that's ever been made.
It was weird. It was just kind of like, no, this is contrary for contrarian's sake.
Yeah.
I don't get it. And I never will.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that comment.
Yeah.
Just weird. But let's talk about Harry Potter.
Well, I want to talk about Baby Groot first.
No. Okay. So we're going back to Harry Potter.
So Ron is like kind of a ladies' man in this movie, and like girls are after him, and it's the classic
two
thing.
girls are
Two
after
girls.
him.
I don't know. It's just the way that the story's written and how he acts it. It's the classic thing where like someone who wasn't hot is hot all of a sudden, and girls like him.
Yeah.
I just like how he plays it. He gets a love potion, and his acting in that scene is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like him and Harry, the way they're like bouncing off of each other, and he almost dies, but we don't have to talk about that right now.
But let's just kind of like talk about this thing, and then we'll cut back to another thing. So their first Quidditch match.
It seemed like you were being like passive aggressive, but I know you weren't.
No, I mean it. So it's their first Quidditch match, and Ron is just so freaking scared, and he's like, I don't know if I can do this. And then Harry pretends to put the lucky
I like that
potion in
That's
it.
always a
so
fun
it gives
thing.
him confidence, and Hermione's like, I can't believe you would. Oh, okay, then he wins. He does really well, and then Hermione's like, I can't believe you would do that. That's cheating. And he's like, oh, just like what you did with making Cormac fail. And she's like, that's different. I don't know why I said it like that. And then you're seeing like everyone's cheering on Ron. He's the belle of the ball.
The belle of the ball.
And Lavender starts snogging him. I almost said macking, which is the American version of snogging.
Snogging's a hilarious term, and we should be using it all the time.
Yeah. So they start snogging like crazy.
In the behind the scenes, the actors say snogging too.
Yeah,
so it's like
not
a
made
thing.
up.
I don't get it, but it's great. It's so gross sounding too. Snogging.
Well, it reminds me of like pigs or elephants, like something with like trunks or snouts or something like that. Okay, so then Hermione gets really upset and goes off alone to a corridor where Harry follows her, and I think that's a really touching moment when she's like, "How does it feel, Harry?"
Yeah,
and
I
he's
like
like,
that.
"What are you talking about?" She's like, "When you see Ginny with Dean, because Ginny's dating Dean Thomas."
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know, it's just so nice. I love how it's an empty corridor. I love how the moon is shining in through the windows. It is like lit so beautifully.
Yeah.
And she has these this bird charm going around, as if in a way to make her feel a little bit like lighter and better. And then Lavender and Ron come into the room, and Lavender's just like, oh, ha ha ha, let's go find another room. And Ron can tell that she's upset, and he asks why, and then she makes the birds like explode around him, and it's like, okay, well, it's obviously you're the problem, you know. And then Ron, Harry's saying like, this is how it feels. Feels just like
how
this.
does it feel?
Okay, I just really like that moment. It's a really good scene.
It's a very good scene.
It's just a good character development right there. Okay, now let's cut back to another.
Let's do. I almost said Gandalf. Let's do Dumbledore, Harry, and He Who Shall Not Be Named. Let's cover that.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Let's do it.
I'm segueing.
So, okay. You know what? I'm just gonna go to bed. You finish up.
So Harry goes to Dumbledore's office, and you see right out from the gate, but we saw this from the beginning of the movie. Dumbledore is asking Harry certain questions of like, oh, I've kind of noticed that you and Hermione have always been really good friends. Like, what with that? And Harry's like, no, just friends. And then, Dumbledore makes another comment, like trying to get to know Harry. And it's like, wow, this is really sentimental and very nice of him to like, he's being warm and like nice to Harry compared to the other movies, a lot more.
Yeah.
A lot more. So then he shows Harry the first memory that Dumbledore ever has of Tom Riddle.
Yes.
So he is taken to an orphanage, and it's a Muggle.
And it's Ray Fiennes' nephew. Did you know that?
a Muggle orphanage.
Yeah. It's an MO.
So there's this kid in this room, and you hear this woman like telling Dumbledore, like, basically, he's disturbed. Yeah. Pretty much. And Dumbledore.
And not like the cool Disturbed, like the band. He's like Disturbed.
No, I mean, right. So,
I dropped a Disturbed reference.
So like we said, the memory sequences look very cool. The kid is channeling something very dark. Mm-hmm. Very good troubled performance of a kid.
Well, during that scene, they did a seance before to get the actor into the.
Okay. Although that's just so true. There's a Ouija board right on the desk. Just kidding. Okay. So Dumbledore is telling him. So Tom Riddle's like, you're breaking me. I'm broken. Tom Riddle is saying like, I'm different from all the other kids. Blah, 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 blah.
Oh my gosh. Every line we're going to cover.
Yep. And then Dumbledore says, I'm really different too. And the kid says, prove it. And he turns the wardrobe on fire with not even lifting a finger. Dumbledore does. And he says, I think there's something in there that's yours. And he opens it and there's a little thing in there. And you see, okay, Tom Riddle is found. Mm-hmm. And as Dumbledore is leaving, Tom Riddle's like, I can even talk to snakes, which is like, he's like, is that normal too? Or like, is that a thing? And Dumbledore's just kind of like, oh crap. But doesn't say anything. That was just a touch.
Yeah.
Do you want to take over the next memory?
Yeah, so then the next memory, we have Slughorn's just messed up memory where Tom Riddle is asking about certain dark magic, and it cuts off. And so, like, during the movie, Dumbledore is kind of trying to get Harry to find out what happened in that memory. And so when Harry takes his luck charm...
Well, actually, it's kind of important first that Harry tries doing that. He tries talking to him about it. Like, I was in the restricted section, and Slughorn just brushes him off. Yeah. And then he further brushes him off. And then someone tries giving Harry love potion, to which Ron eats. Yeah. And he takes Ron to Slughorn. Slughorn cures him, and then they all celebrate over a drink. And Ron's the only one who drinks it, and starts having a seizure, and he's going to die, and then Harry saves him. Yeah. So that, and we skipped over the other part, but that's the second instance of someone trying to infiltrate the school to poison Dumbledore. Yeah. The first one being the necklace. Yes. Is the necklace one of the Horcruxes? Where did Dumbledore get that Horcrux? It's one? Off screen, right? The one that's like the ring? The ring, yes. Off screen. As well as the notebook from the Chamber of Secrets. Well, yeah, but we saw that. Just in a different movie. That's right. But yeah, the ring is off screen. So he got the ring. He was looking for it. He found it, and then that's what like burned up his hands. Yes. Did he destroy it? Is that destroyed? He did. And it's interesting too. I think this is in the book, and I hope I'm not making this up. But I feel like whatever. So he destroyed the Horcrux that was the ring, and it ruined his hand. Yeah. He's gonna die from that anyway. So either way, he's like terminal illness right now. Okay. So the fact that he died is just kind of like he was going to die anyway. Okay. Thing. So anyway, Harry takes the luck potion. Mm-hmm. He does some pretty good acting where he's just being like confident, mm-hmm. and things are just going his way, which is what the potion occurs. That's what happens. We find out that what's the name of the spider? Aragog. Aragog died, and it's a real spider again, the one from Chamber of Secrets, which on the one hand, it's kind of cool that like she is willing to like kill off like a cool thing,
But on the other hand, I'm like, how come the spiders got to die? That's like your eagles. Those got to come in at the Battle of Deathly Hollows.
But the spiders weren't good.
No, I know. It's just like,
I know.
It's just such a cool thing. The
And
spider
if
Aragog,
anything,
it's such a bummer that it dies. But it
whatever.
also shows like Hagrid's love for all these beasts that, you know, he's just cool.
Yeah. And it gets Slughorn down there because he extracts some of the venom. And then they mourn with Hagrid.
Yeah, and it's actually a pretty sweet scene.
I love when Slughorn starts talking about this fish that he had, and then it just magically disappeared one day. Magically.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh my gosh, it's so weird. Where could it have gone? And then Hagrid just passes out. And then Slughorn goes on talking about it.
Oh yeah, because they're drunk.
Yeah, just Hagrid and Slughorn. But Slughorn saying like, yeah, just one day I got to my class and there was this flower. And it sank into this fish bowl, and right before it reached the bottom, it became a fish. And he was like, it was a lily flower.
Yeah.
From your mom. And I was like, I got a little emotional hearing about that. It was so good.
Yeah. No, very good. So now...
And then he gives Harry his memory.
He finds out the memory, and then this is when you find out, like, the glue of the series. This is what takes, like, the writing of the series from, like, oh, this is really good and great, to like, oh, this is a great series because this is cool. Mm-hmm. And we find out that there are these things called Horcruxes, and if you kill someone, you can put a piece of yourself in an item, so if you die, that piece still has you in it.
And you never die.
And you don't die, unless all of those Horcruxes are destroyed.
Yeah.
And so then Tom Riddle is in the dream, he's asking... Memory. He's asking Slughorn, like, what if I did it in 7 different places?
Yeah.
And the guy's like, isn't it bad enough to take one life? So he's really ashamed because he feels like he gave him that knowledge.
To then like feels responsible that he would kill people.
Yeah, even though
I
kind of like that idea too, because it's like I personally watched the movie and I'm like, that's not your fault. Mm-hmm. Like you didn't cause those things. You answered a question that you probably would have answered for anyone else that asked.
But I think it's one of those things too where he's just ashamed to have known him.
Yeah, he's carrying the guilt, which that's what I like about it.
Yes,
like it does make sense that he would change the memory because he doesn't want to be associated with it.
Yeah, and just to touch on the actor of who plays Tom Riddle at this age, like we've already said. Incredible job.
He does a good job.
If they got someone that did half as good as him, I think seriously, it would have taken so much out of the movie.
Yeah. Because
it's the scene is that important. Uh-huh. And he just does all of these little ticks, like these little like really like chewing on words of what and really listening. I don't know. Just a really good job.
So we find that out, and then Dumbledore's like, look at this book that you had.
So it pretty much confirmed what Dumbledore had already started.
Yeah. And so was he just looking for how do we...
Okay, I haven't read the book in a really long time, so I don't remember that part.
Okay.
Sorry.
But it's just like he was just... Maybe he stumbled upon it or like heard about it and then...
He probably heard of the possibility of it.
Yeah.
You know, so he's like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. And he probably would have done that.
Yeah.
You know?
And
he probably this time like trying to learn about Voldemort.
And then basically we go, okay, so there's 5 Horcruxes to go. So then Dumbledore goes, Harry, I got to ask you to do something again. Like, I regret to do this because you're never going to be normal, which is great. Hammers home the theme from the beginning. And they go to this cave, just the 2 of them. Really great set piece.
And did you notice in the first memory with Tom Riddle at the orphanage, there's this little picture in the room and it's of the cave.
Oh, so he was like searching the dreams, probably saw that and like found that location or memories.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's very cool. So they go there and it's very ominous. It's very dark. It's kind of creepy. It's not right.
Very Minds of Moria. Before they get all the way in.
And I love the thing where Dumbledore like shoots his light orb off of his wand and it like circles around and can help him see.
Yeah.
So then they go to the thing we mentioned earlier, the set they built, the ice thing. And on top of it is this liquid that has to be drank. And then once it's drank...
It's a potion, but yeah.
It's still liquid.
No, I'm
I
putting
thought you were
into
correcting me.
No, just like wizard
yeah.
It's a concoction.
And then it'll bring up one of the Horcruxes, they believe. So they start drinking it, and beforehand,
but Dumbledore
says like, you have to make me drink this. It may paralyze me. It could even kill me. Don't listen to me. It's going to drive me mad.
Even if I ask you to kill me,
Yeah.
make sure I keep drinking it.
So Harry does it. It's a struggle. It's sad. It's scary.
Really good acting by Dumbledore. Oh my gosh.
And he's going nuts, and they get the Horcrux. And then there are these creepy, like, vampire baby things that come out of the water and attack them.
It's funny that's how you think of it.
They're gross.
They are.
But they're definitely CG, but I like how they look a lot.
It's freaky. It's Uncanny Valley.
Yeah, in the good way.
Yes.
And I saw that the VFX people were like, they really wanted to make sure they created something that people wouldn't get confused with zombies. Like
I think they
didn't want like a
zombie.
a zombie image in people's minds.
It's interesting because so clearly someone had been here and has created this whatever this thing is, and who it could have just been a normal cave before someone came in here, namely Tom Riddle. So it's like I just am curious of was it a spell? Was it a potion? What was it? Where did all these things come from?
Yeah.
Did he just create?
Yeah, I don't know. That's weird.
But it's also it's so wonderful that you'll never know.
Yeah.
And I don't want to know. No one tell me.
Well, I don't
want to know.
I bet in Fantastic Beasts 3 they probably cover that. Then they get it. They come back. And then do you want to take over while I go to the fridge and grab my kombucha for the final scene, basically, with all the wizards and Dumbledore? Go.
So they come back to the watchtower of Hogwarts, and Dumbledore says, "You need to leave right away, Harry." So, and he says, "Harry, no matter what you do, just keep going. Do not stop. Do not try to help me. You need to leave." So Harry starts leaving, but he starts hearing some people coming up, and he kind of gets under so he can get a good view from below, but he won't be disturbed by anyone. And you see Malfoy coming up, Draco,
yes,
with a wand pointed at Dumbledore, and he says Expelliarmus, so that Dumbledore's wand goes away.
And you already said Harry is told not to interfere.
Yes, no matter what, do not interfere.
Death Eaters show up, and it's not looking good.
So it's Bellatrix, Greyback, probably the giant guy from The Witch, other people, and she's like, "You need to do it. You need to do it. You need to do it." And then Snape shows up.
Well, but what's great is Harry's downstairs and he's about to use his wand, and then Snape points his wand and he puts his finger to his mouth, be quiet. And you're thinking okay, Snape's gonna betray the Death Eaters. He was playing double agent. Oh, and before that scene, there was the scene where him and Snape, Dumbledore and Snape were talking, and Snape was like, "Are you sure about this? Because I don't want to do this. Have you ever thought about that?" And Dumbledore's like, "You have to."
Yes.
And then you go down. So you're like, what is Snape's deal? Who is this? What is he doing?
So crazy. So. Oh, wait. Crazy thing before this. Earlier in the movie, Harry has been suspicious of Malfoy the whole time, obviously. And this whole time, how can Death Eaters get into Hogwarts when... they've conveyed very early on in the movie that there's basically a force field around it. And you can't disapparate on school grounds unless you're Dumbledore. So the whole time...
No disapparation without representation.
Duh. So in the room of requirement, there is... I forget what they call it, but it's a cabinet. A vanishing cabinet. That's what it's called.
It is.
Malfoy had been testing it all school year, and they got it to work, and that's how the Death Eaters got in. It's because there's a sister cabinet in Nocturne Alley. They get through. That's how they got there. Harry's been suspicious.
The way they show the mystery of the portal... vanishing cabinet is very cool.
Love it.
It reminds me of The Prestige.
Yes,
just that kind of
much.
Show don't tell.
Yes,
and you gotta and they're trusting us.
Yeah,
to understand what's going on.
Trusting us to trust them
because he puts the birds in there and then they're gone and then they fly out later.
Yeah,
and it's oh, that's so interesting. That's weird.
It's cool. So then Harry is chasing after Malfoy at one point, and they start fighting in a bathroom. And Harry had seen the spell in the potion book, the Half-Blood Prince book, earlier on in the year, and he's like, "I've never heard of this spell before." And Hermione didn't even know what it was.
Yeah.
But he did it on Malfoy, Sectum Sempra, and it was it got Malfoy, and he just started bleeding like crazy, and it was just very well done, I think, because it's one of the first time Harry is like I did this.
Yeah.
I hurt someone terribly.
Yeah.
So then after that, him and Ginny go up to the room of requirement and hide the book. Because clearly there's bad stuff in this book and no one should have it.
Yeah.
Then, of course, the whole time you're like, who is this Half-Blood Prince? Anyway, going back. So Snape tells Harry, shut it. And then he goes up there. And do you want to take that away?
And then, there's an exchange and Snape kills Dumbledore. And it's slow motion and it's very sad. And it is like, what? I think I'd seen the scene before I saw the movie. Because I wish
I could go back to the first time I saw it because I don't remember what my reaction was.
Yeah, because it's wild. Like he's a character you don't expect to die, and also I think because he is so Gandalf, like you're like, okay, well he'll be back in the next movie, like reborn as like the newest wizard, because J.K. Rowling's so into Jesus metaphors.
Oh, the professed atheist is so into it.
Well, she does have a chosen one narrative, so.
She's an atheist, though.
I know, I'm kidding. But there is a chosen one narrative in the series.
Okay.
No, but there is. I'm stuck. I'm actually stuck. So he dies, and Harry sees it, and then Harry attempts to kill Snape. Not kill him. He's like running after him, and he's what did you do? What did you do?
Then he says, Sectum Sempra, and Snape deters it.
And he goes, use my own spells on me.
The scene is so well set. So he's chasing after the Death Eaters, really chasing after Snape. And it's one of those Harry being so bad he doesn't care what's happening right now and that he's putting himself in danger because the Death Eaters are right there, to the point where Bellatrix gets him with a spell.
Yeah.
But she sets Hagrid's hut on fire. And it's just such a cool, well-lit scene. All the light source coming from the fire.
Yeah.
I just love the way that it looks. So yeah, then Snape's like, you dare use my own spell on me?
Then you find out he's the HP.
He's the Half-Blood Prince. So it's interesting because I know the first time I saw this movie and read the book even was just kind of like, so what?
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah, I guess.
Do you feel that way?
I do to some extent, yeah. Because, I guess now that you mention it, put it that way, it is kind of like, okay, he's the Half-Blood Prince. Okay.
Yeah, I think that I feel like if I had read the book sometime soon, I would have had much more to say about all of it. But it is, to me, definitely a lot of like Half-Blood Prince. Okay, he is not a full blood.
Yeah.
And that's the Death Eater thing is being pure.
I will say that I don't even know what Half-Blood means. That's like not been explained in the movies.
Full blood.
You know what I mean?
I'm telling you right now.
Like Magic Born?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So like Hermione's not a full blood.
Okay.
Like we've said, it's kind of the to me reminds me of Holocaust, World War II, Aryan blood.
Sure.
Stuff
okay.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Which is stuff that has happened throughout human history, not just World War II.
Yeah.
And it's the same ironic thing of Voldemort. He shall not be named is not even a full blood. You know what I mean?
Say his name.
So I think that part of it is Half-Blood Prince conveys him working for both sides.
Yeah. Okay.
Because half and half.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then I also think it conveys I don't know. I just think I think the interesting thing is this whole school year, Harry has been helped by this book that was owned by the Half-Blood Prince. And this whole time he has been helped by Snape in a way.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
And this whole time we have been very confused about Snape.
Yeah.
But
I guess that's why the movie's kind of about his, like, is he good? Is he bad? Yeah.
And by this time, we're kind of like, I think he's okay. I think he's just working for both sides, but in a good guy way. And then
I don't think that by the end of the movie.
No, I'm saying before this moment happens.
Oh, okay.
So then we get to this point, and he does this, and you're like, oh, he's just terrible. He has betrayed Dumbledore this whole time.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of what that's about. I think it is a big like character development.
Yeah.
Story.
Yeah. And then the very end, Harry's like, I got to go find these Horcruxes, and he's like,
I'm doing it alone.
I wish you guys the best. And I like that it doesn't take too long. He accepts it, but Hermione's like, do you seriously think after all the crazy stuff we've been through that we're not going to help you? And he's like, yeah, I guess you're right. And that's a very nice moment. And then it's like, guys, buckle up. There's another movie. And
we find out right off the gate that this Horcrux is not a real Horcrux.
Oh, that's
there
right.
There was a note in the side saying, from RAB, saying, like, I'm going to find the real thing and destroy you. So they're starting off with 0 Horcruxes.
Yeah.
And nothing to go on.
Well, they have...
No, I'm saying in their possession, they don't have anything.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's still 5 they need to get, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So they explain the RAB thing in the next one?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. In my head, I don't know why, when they read that, I was like, Rubus Albus Dumbledore. And then I was like, I don't know if Rubus is anything that's...
Rubius isn't that Hagrid?
Maybe.
I think so.
I just combined them, and then I'm like, and Dumbledore doesn't start with a B. So why did I think... It's kind of weird. But in my head, I was like, he already got it and took care of it. And he's just like, he needed to complete his... Which wouldn't have made any sense. So, in summation, in conclusion, folks, I like this movie. I will say, I think the beginning's really great. I think the ending's awesome. And I do think the middle, I remember, we watched it last night or the night before or whatever. When I was watching it, I was like... Until it really starts cooking at the end of the movie, I was like, this is a filler. Like, and I did like the character development and everything, but I was kind of like, okay, this is just a movie to kind of set up the next movie. And I do feel that way for the most part, except for the ending.
It's like the calm before the storm.
Yeah, and if the whole movie was as good as the ending, it would definitely be my favorite. Mm-hmm. But since it's not that, it's not my favorite. Yeah. But I think it's still a good movie. It's still
I know, yeah.
An easy 7 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
Like it a lot. I got the Harry Potter bug, like I keep saying. Can't wait to watch Deathly Hallows. Do you have anything to say about this movie?
I love this movie. I love the character development. I love how serious it is. And I feel like the movie ends with all of the chess pieces moved, and it's
ready to go.
It's like check.
Yeah.
That's how it feels.
Okay, well, thank you for listening, folks. I do want to plug a couple of things. Please listen. So if you sign up for the Patreon, we've already said all the other things, but by now, my album comes out March 13th, but if you're a Patreon subscriber, you got the album already, folks. Yeah, if you're on the $5 tier, you get to stream it. If you're on the $10 tier, you get it downloaded. If you plan on buying the album, just become a patron for the month. You may as well, because it'll be cheaper than buying the album. And you get more stuff.
How many songs are on the album?
14, folks. And then speaking of the album, it's coming out March 13th. And it is going to be released at the Children's Sanctuary Church, which is in Medford, kind of across the street from Siam.
And the Y.
And the
Medford.
Y. And it's going to be bonkers. We're going to decorate it. It's going to look cool. It's going to be very fun. And we are going to, quote, rock the house, end quote. I promise you will have fun if you come to the show.
There won't be a roof by the end of the night.
Yeah. And for patrons, I'm going to have some, hopefully... I'm not sure exactly, but there will probably be posters, specific versions of other posters that will be the patrons will just get it when they show up.
Designed by yours truly.
Yeah, they won't even have to buy them. Everyone else will have to buy them, but they're going to get a kind that won't even look the same because I think we'll do a different color scheme or something like that.
Just kidding.
So anyway, thank you for listening. Next week, we do the Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows - Part 1. And I think this weekend, Jordan and I are going to double feature those two movies.
With Sydney and Taylor Brown in our hearts.
Taylor Brown in our hearts,
because she's in Texas.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening. Peace.